Hi, welcome to Edward Box Guitar Tuition. So my classic album inspection today is Slip of the Tongue by Whitesnake. This was released 7th November 1989 in the US and a week later in the UK. So this actually came out at the same time, 2 weeks after, or a week after Joe Satriani's Flying in the Blue Dream. So if you're into guitar at the time, you basically had the two biggest guitar players, or two of the biggest guitar players in rock guitar releasing albums. So there's quite a lot of excitement. Steve Vai was paid $1 million for the album and tour for this, which would probably be about 2.5–3 million now. It's difficult to sort of, for people to realise how big Vai was in terms of, and Satch as well in terms of like their coverage in guitar magazines. Vai had his old gem range of guitars, and he was the first artist to not just have an endorsement. Well, the other people have had endorsement guitars, but he had a kind of a range of guitars. I think that's the key thing with Vai. You know, his floral gem, which is the top thing. He had the green one, the yellow one. You'd get the top colour schemes, and of course the body shape was used for the cheaper the brand cheaper models. Sorry, of the Ibanez guitars like the RG550, 570, and so on. So it was huge. So of course a lot of controversy with Whitesnake because you had like the classic Whitesnake lineup, the bluesy one as I call it, that kind of got twisted and evolved a little bit in the Slide It In era, and then got kind of abandoned that sound of the Whitesnake 1987 album. But the thing is, Whitesnake's always been David Coverdeill's always been his band. So that's a thing, you know, whatever he did, he was going to call it that. I think at this time what he was doing is taking what I call a Galactico approach. So if you remember when Real Madrid had the Galacticos, the football team would have been Beckham, Zidane, Luis Figo and so on. It's that kind of thing. He was basically hiring the best people he could, regardless of whether it would work as a team. So you got Tommy Aldridge on drums, Rudy Zaza on bass, who obviously are excellent. Adrian Vandenberg on guitar doesn't play on this due to a hand injury, but I think there might be a bit more to that, which I'll come to. Then he's got Vai on guitar, and of course DC on vocals. I think the other thing with this is a full-on glam metal album. So the Whitesnake 1987 has the big hair and stuff like that, but it's got some kind of hair metal elements on there. But this just goes like the whole hog. I think the first thing you notice about it is Steve Vai's guitar is kind of inappropriate for Whitesnake. However, I like Steve Vai. I liked him at the time. So I always kind of enjoyed it because it was more Steve Vai. The other thing I should say is the copy I've got, for some reason, have changed the running order on the 30th anniversary remaster. It's Slip of the Tongue, Kitten's Got Claws, Cheap and Nasty, Now You're Gone, The Deep of the Love, Judgment Day, Sailing Ships, Wings of the Storm, Slowpoke Music, We'll Come to the Lyrics, Full for Your Loving. Why they've changed that? Because the running order was much better on the original album, and that's what I'll go through because that's the vinyl that I got. So opens with the title track, Slip of the Tongue, Family's 20. I think this is a really good track. It's got that lush harmonic thing that Vai does. Vocals really good. Main lead break's good. I think you also noticed that the production by Mike Clinton, the guitars are too thin, they're too kind of brittle with a kind of fizzy high end to me. But the drum, the snare sound, the bottom end is really good. Vocals, Coverdeill's vocals have been captured well. And it's not totally over-egged. 1987, you know, is swamped in reverb. The remixes for 1987 better, but particularly listen to Still the Night remix. But this, I think it's got a good balance. I think, you know, it did a good job. All the songs were written by Adrian Vandenberg. Apparently the demos hold this out. They're very, very close. So that's a really good track. Every song virtually has got about love or got innuendo. Obviously Slip of the Tongue has. The next track is, and I like it, it's Cheap and Nasty. It's it's like that's a way to a woman's heart, isn't it? You know, oh, I love you, Pet. You're cheap and nasty. Just I like it. Yeah, the lyrics are just hilariously bad. Vai does a really funny solo on this. Again, the sense of humour in his playing kind of works for some of this, but it's just not right for Whitesnake really. But he does a whammy that lasts 10 seconds at the end of the solo. He just goes, and then he does a flutter. So yeah, I quite like this. Then you've got the 1989 version of "Fool for Your Loving." So again, this was a bit lame of them. Really, it's like obviously they've had a hit with "Here I Go Again." David, have you got another old song you can re-record? You know, at this point, I was at an age where I can remember the original "Fool for Your Loving," and that seemed an eternity ago. That was like 9 years before. That's like a lifetime when you're a teenager. But "Fool for Your Love" is a great song, and you know this version of it's not as good, but it's still a good song. The only thing is, it does a classic Coverdale Rod for his own back thing, where the original "Fool for Your Love" is in a key of G minor, I believe, G minor, maybe a G Dorian vibe. This one, they went up to the key of A. A lot of Vandenberg's riffs are in A, apparently, according to Keith Olsen, if you read it in interviews with the late Keith Olsen. So yeah, not Vai's best solo on this. Then you got "Now You're Gone." This is, you know, opens with the keyboard, kind of like "Here I Go Again." It's a good AOR power ballad type song. Really cool Vai solo, a lovely little tap, quite mature. It's one of Vai's best solos on the album. It's a good song. Then you've got "Kitten's Got Claws," which is, now this track is like hilarious. It's got the best line. You've got the skin tight dresses with your G string tuned to A. That is poetry. That is the best line ever written for a hair metal album. But anyway, I maybe was writing about Tony Katane. I'm sure she was happy. It's a lot of fun, this track. Again, it's pure hair metal. It's pure sort of daft glam metal. But I do enjoy it. So that kind of finished the original side one. You know, you've got tracks 5 minutes, 3:28, 4:10, 4:11, 5 minutes. You know, it's in that period where songs are getting a little longer than those classic Whitesnake tracks of Ready and Willing here and so on. But I think the album's 45 minutes long, so, you know, 46, nearly 47. So it's still fairly sensible for the time. So side 2 opens with "Wings of the Storm." This is quite interesting. It's kind of like a galloping riff, I think in D minor. So it's a bit more unusual. He's still talking about love. He actually is talking about nerve. But a really cool Vice solo in this. He does a cool call and response thing where, you know, he's kind of playing against himself, and he goes into this thing with kind of wide stretch fourths, I think. Sorry to get all guitar-y there. But again, it's a track I've always liked. Then you've got The Deep That I Love. This was another single. He still plays a sort of acoustic version of this live when he did play live David Coverdale. Again, this is an AOR ballad, but it's well done. Nice Vice solo. And then you've got the album's standout cut. So this is the song they still play, and I think most people, whether they like this album or not, or particularly people who don't like this album, would totally agree this is a great Whitesnake track, and it's Judgment Day. So it's taking his cue off the Kashmir moving fifth, as I call it, the James Bond move. But it's really good, epic sort of chord voicings by Vai on this. Not massive on the solo on it, but really good odd timing at the end. I think they play like a kind of a bar of 5 and then 6, 5/4, so 10/8, but I think it's 5/4, then 6/4, and then the drums are kind of, you know, overlapping, so to speak. Really good track. Track 9 is another hilarious. It's weird. There is a synergy in a running order. The track 2, Cheap and Nasty. Track 9, slowpoke music, and the same sort of thing. Slowpoke music. What could that be about? I had a word with the DJ. Play the music loud and hot. I'm coming for you, ready or not. It's like, yeah, all those women on the dance floor. Can't wait to be bothered and accosted by Coverdale. But again, I do like this track. And then Sailing Ships. This is the other like really standout cut on the album. Really nice sort of acoustic track. It's a kind of style of track they did on the title track of Forevermore. Nice sort of sitar tracked on this by Vai. Builds up, gets really heavy and epic, and then a great Rod for his own back scream at the end by Coverdale, you know, probably pushing it to the limit, not realising that he might have to do it when he was 65. So yeah, I like this album. Going through 1, 1.6, 2.2, 3, 3.6, 1.6, 5.2, 6.2, 7.2. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. You know, I don't really dislike any track. Probably because I bought it at the time. I love Steve Vai. I actually prefer the playing on this to the Skyscraper album. It's kind of more guitar. And this time Vai would go on and do the Passion and Warfare, and actually did for the love of God in his solo spots. It was all like savvy business move by Vai. He was, absolutely, there was that 5-year period from Eat and Smile 86 till the end of the Whitesnake, till probably sometime in 91, where Vai was just everywhere. Then when he came back and did the Section Religion album, music had changed, and then he just went on a different route. There is a B-side, Sweet Lady Luck, which you get as a bonus track. There's various other mixes, but yeah, the original running order works better on this. Okay, so Slip of the Tongue, 10 years old today. Not 10 years old, 35 years old. So I will get around to reviewing a more traditional Whitesnake album, but that's for next year. Okay, so remember to share and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you very much.